Commissioners, make sure your mics are down because Katie will have to have.
We're good.
Okay. I'd like to call the meeting for the City of Riverside Planning Commission for Wednesday, May 21st, 2025 at 6:39 to order. Roll call, please.
Chair Denning,
Here.
Mr. Hairston,
Present.
Mr. Owens, Mr. Rogers, Mr. Vasquez.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a quorum. Is there a motion to excuse our two absent members at this time?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second to excuse our Mr. Owens and Mr. Rogers. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda at this time?
Madam Chair, I would suggest to move the public hearing item to the end to allow, if the board or the commission wants to allow the other commissioner time to arrive.
Do we need to do that, legal counsel?
If we want to, if the commission would like to attend to items out of order, we can, a motion can be made to put agenda item number 8 after staff discussion topics.
Okay.
If the commission would rather keep the agenda as is, we do have a quorum, and even if there are any abstentions on the public hearing item, the commission may still take action.
Okay. Do I have a motion or any comments on what you want to do?
I'm fine with where it is on the agenda.
Okay. All right.
So then you need a motion to approve the agenda.
Yeah, haven't got there yet.
Okay, I'm just, sorry, for my own clarification.
Right,
Yes.
so we'll
That's
do a
what we're
motion to
going
approve.
next.
Yeah,
so the
because that
commission will
was
do a motion to
additions or
approve.
corrections. and
Right.
now-
Thank you.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
you'll move to approve it as presented.
At this time, the chair would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. You should have received copies of the minutes from the February 19th meeting. At this time, the chair would entertain a motion to approve those minutes as presented, or if there's any corrections, we will note those corrections.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the February 19th meeting as presented. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay, now we're going to move on. I thought we were doing this in January. Okay, moving on to selection of delegates to external boards, the CRA Housing Council. Ms. Holt?
I can tell the commission a little bit about this. This is basically the nomination advisory board for the CRA areas, which is the community reinvestment areas. What that does is evaluate proposals for tax incentives in those areas. It is a body of 7 members, and the Planning Commission is responsible for appointing a member to that body. So if there's any nominations, that would be,
Oh, we're taking nominations today? Yep. Okay.
this was supposed to happen at the organizational meeting, and it did not.
Yeah, through oversight, it didn't happen earlier this year. So any commissioner can be nominated, and then discussion can be had, and voting can occur when nominations are closed.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Harrison.
I accept.
Any other nominations? Okay, ripe for a vote, Madam Chair.
All right. Do we need a formal?
Just a voice vote.
Okay. We need a formal motion, though, and second, because that was just a nomination.
Yes, so the nomination are closed, so a motion to appoint
Okay.
and then a vote on
At this
that.
time, we'll close the nominations for the CRA Housing Council. I'll make a motion to appoint Mr. Harrison to the CRA Housing Council. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay, moving on to the Riverside Community Improvement Corporation. Ms. Holt.
So what that is a nonprofit partner for the city of Riverside. It has the authority to act as an economic arm, but also help the city to dispose of property. The creation of that organization also calls for a planning commission representative on that board.
And I'm looking at community. I'm currently on that board as secretary. So, is there any nominations at this time?
I nominate Mr. Vasquez.
I accept the nomination.
Okay, there's a nomination for Mr. Vasquez. Is there any other nominations? All right, seeing none, we'll close nominations. And is there a motion on the floor?
I make a motion to vote for our nomination.
Okay. There is a motion, and I'll second, for Mr. Vasquez to represent Planning Commission on the CIC. The Riverside Community Improvement Corporation. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay. Moving on, we're going to move on to our public hearing item. We will remind anyone who has requested to speak that you will come to the podium. You will state your name, your address, and take the oath that will be on the screen as well as on the podium, and that each person is given 3 minutes to speak, other than the applicant. Okay, so our public hearing tonight is on PC case number 25-0002, Union Schoolhouse Road. This is a waiver application to permit an illuminated sign in the R3 Medium Density Residential District, parcel ID I390031000003. Is the applicant here tonight? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm supposed to start with staff. My brain is fried tonight. I'm so sorry. Ms. Holt, staff report?
I, Naya Holt, affirm that the testimony I'm about to give before the Planning Commission is correct to the best of my knowledge. 5200 Springfield Street. Just a brief background about this case. I did receive 2 email inquiries about it, just wanting to know about the brightness similar to some of the Planning Commission members here, and about some of the design, about the landscape, so I was able to follow up after communicating with the applicant. As stated in the opening, the applicant is requesting to update the sign that is there with a new illuminated sign. That illumination will be under the roof. It is going to be a brick sign 10 feet wide by 6 feet high and have a stone roof. The proposed sign does comply with the sign regulations in height, material, and location. However, based on the current sign code, it does restrict that illumination feature in residential districts. And because that is a design feature of the sign, it is why it is here before you today, because the Planning Commission has authority over all design measures within our UDO, our Unified Development Ordinance. Given that this sign is within our UDO and requirements and has not been a major impact on other parcels, we are going to recommend approval, but I'm going to take a step back and show you more of what's going on. So here is that residential zoning district I mentioned, the parcel that the sign is on. Here is the sign that it's going to replace. You can see it's a bit dated. The landscaping is covering it, and it's hard to see. It is right here. And this is what the new sign will look like. Again, this sign will meet the required sign standards. There are some housing around it. Here's the one across Union Schoolhouse. And the applicant did answer some of those required questions as well. This is their position. It would not harm other properties. As I mentioned before in the first few minutes of my presentation, I did get additional information from the applicant. They will be controlling the lighting. It will be no brighter than the existing sign's light. It will be very similar in its placement to the existing sign, and it will help to illuminate and make sure that people are seeing clear entrance to this community. They are looking to redesign the landscaping to make it clearer to see, using native trees and bushes, seasonal flowers, and also removing the magnolia tree. Here are some other signage in the area and other subdivisions. So you can get an idea, they're all that similar size sign. So it will be very much in the same realm of those signages coming in, or the one that's proposed today. Again, I just wanted to give you kind of a rendering of what that downward signage would look like under that roof. It will not be very bright or have that impact on neighbors. So at night, they would still be seen by those coming by, and it prevents having to look or having to actually look for that entrance. It should also be noted that there is a street light, but that street light does not reach to this side of the parcel. So it does enhance that entrance while still being within the parameters of the code. And that is why we are recommending approval of this waiver. Are there any questions?
Once you explained the lighting to the residents who called in, they were good with everything, so there was no...
They may have additional questions, but I have not heard a response yet.
Okay. All right. Now, for our applicant. I'm so sorry. If you would state your name, your address, and recite the oath that's not on the screen yet, but should be on the dais?
That's here.
Okay.
Either way. Scott Kreckman, 4036 Cozy Croft Drive, president for the HOA. I, Scott Kreckman, at 4036 Cozy Croft Drive, affirm that the testimony I'm about to give before the Planning Commission is correct to the best of my knowledge.
Thank you. What should we know?
All right, so the sign that's currently in place is capable of being blown over by a stiff breeze, which is why we need to replace it. As you've seen, the sign currently is lit. It is downlit with 4 or 5 fluorescent tube lights. So the new one, being slightly larger, is exactly the same design as what is up on Kittredge. If you've seen those two, they're just smaller brick brass designs. So it mimics that same style to keep a cohesiveness for the neighborhood. The lighting would just be a simple downlight or potential uplight, just depends on what they can actually create for us. But that downlighting, that lighting allows it to be lit and seen as the current sign is already lit and seen. It's just going to be a smaller footprint. We've already got quotes for removal. We have a quote for replacement, but they haven't decided to, they won't make that next step of redesigning with lighting until we have approval because there's more cost involved with redesign. It does sit back off the road a fair ways, so it's not like it intrudes on anything. Yeah, and as you saw, it's falling apart. If you walked up and kicked it, it might actually fall over.
All right. Okay. Anything else?
That's all I've got right now. Like I said, it shouldn't be all that bright, just bright enough to be seen.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Okay, at this time, Mr. Caulfield? Just state your name, your address, and read the oath on the dais.
I, Richard Caulfield, 3724 Bay Tree Court, Riverside, Ohio, affirm that the testimony I'm about to give before the Planning Commission is correct to the best of my knowledge. K-A-U-F-H-O-L.
Former chairman of Planning Commission, if anyone didn't know that.
So my purpose for coming this evening was to find out additional details about the proposed sign. Having seen the presentation and heard from the applicant, I'll just state my support for passage of the waiver. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. And the other one was you, so we're good there. All right. Seeing that there is no other public testimony, I have no other sheets, and there's no one else in the room, I'll close the public hearing and move into deliberation.
And Madam Chair, I will ask if any commissioners have a conflict of interest requiring them to recuse themselves from deliberation.
At this time, I would like to recuse myself from the deliberations since I'm a resident of Forest Ridge.
So let the record show that Mr. Vasquez has recused himself from deliberations. Okay, so any other questions for Ms. Holt or anything? All right, are we ready to take a vote at this time?
I make a motion to approve PC case 25002 for Union Schoolhouse Road, the waiver application to permit an illuminated sign in the R3 medium density residential district, parcel ID number I390031000003.
I'll second that. So we have a motion on the floor to approve PC case number 25-0002. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Chair Denning,
Yes.
Mr. Hairston,
Yes.
Mr. Vasquez.
Abstain.
Motion carried.
Motion carries. The applicant can see Ms. Holt for further steps if there's any at the. It was nice seeing you, Rick. Okay, moving on to staff discussion topics, UDO rewrite Phase 2, Ms. Holt.
Yes. So we have been working this first quarter with the consultant and the steering committee on the glossary, the dimensional table, and the zoning districts primarily. They are in the process of drafting the first article of the new UDO, and while they're in the process of doing that, we are going to schedule our next steering committee meeting, which actually is next week, to take a look at our property maintenance code, because there's some few changes we want to look at that. We've had it for almost 2 years now, seems like. And there's some things that we found that need a little refresher. So we're going to work with our steering committee on that while they're getting a draft of Article 1 to us. In the meantime, I can feel comfortable sharing this with you, some of the things that have been looked at. This is kind of what a table would look like, an example, because this has been shared with our steering committee, of what a new table of uses would look like. For example, if someone wanted to open up a beauty salon, they could see what districts that would be allowed in. If they needed conditional use, they could find it all in one place without having to scroll through a list of items. Another example is we have more graphics that are going to be included, showing lot widths and what a buildable lot could look like, more graphics in that way. We are also changing a number of district names. We'll probably have to massage that more as we're working with the steering committee, but we're getting to a point of what that could look like and where those districts can go. And as the glossary goes along and as we move through the process, we're adding more terms. But what we're looking at is having the major glossary at the end and then a list of uses next to the actual terms. For example, we'll have the sign section and then the definition of the types of signs, what a temporary sign is, what an illuminated sign or a electronic message center, what all those terms mean next to the actual regulations. So you don't have to flip back to the end to find what you are looking for. We want to make it user-friendly. We want to use more graphics because a picture is worth 1,000 words. The key thing is anybody who picks up that code should know exactly what they're looking for and should know exactly what is being asked of them. That is the goal. We'll have more to come.
Any questions for Ms. Holt
This is good.
on that so far?
And you will see that we're looking at a few mixed-use districts and a few where we're having a hybrid code. So the corridors, our key corridors, Valley, I'm going to lean on you, Julie, Linden, Burkhart, those are going to be where we have that focus of having mixed use. Burkhart, things, corridors like that.
Yeah, and, yeah. I think those are the
Anything I
main-
missed?
Airway, maybe?
Yes, Airway,
Airway.
thank you. Yes, Springfield, yes.
Possibly, yeah. Just kind of depends on how it all shakes out. huh?
Mhm. So,
So, yeah, but it's going really well, I think, so far. I'm anxious to get into some real meat with it, to get some of the things that's been brought to our attention through residents and businesses and streamlining the process, number one, and also making it user-friendly, making it so that people can do what they want to do, bring the businesses in and bring that they want to, but under, some guidelines, but maybe not appear as strict as it appears right now, if that makes sense.
yeah, another goal I would say that came to my mind is to make sure that in the residential districts, it matches what the built environment actually is.
Mhm.
We have a lot of lots that are not 60 foot wide, which is what's in our code,
Right.
and are 40, 45 feet. So recalibrating our new code to meet that standard, because that's what is actually on the ground, and then allowing those more commercial areas to attract the type of businesses that would make Riverside grow and thrive and better serve our community.
And bring in services and that the
Yes.
residents need without having to necessarily always go outside of the city is what we want to attract to, I believe.
Yeah.
And we are looking at a lot more like entertainment type stuff as well, because when we went to the schools for the third grade, I don't mean to steal your
No, that's
thunder.
perfect.
When we went to the schools for the third grade, It's Your City, It's Your World, that was one of the things that was really huge, was stuff to do right here in your backyard. You know, we have the, you know, the greatest Air Force museum, you know, in the world probably. And that's great, but the kids are looking for, you know, trampoline parks and things like that, and some restaurants to be around that to make it actually a family night and that sort of thing. So, I think that that's real important, and that's where a lot of the mixed use stuff will come into play, I believe. So far, you know, looking on the kind of the outside till we start getting into the nuts and bolts, but really making it, you know, one of the things I know that would be nice is to make it a little bit more streamlined, even for businesses and stuff, where they don't necessarily always have to come to the planning commission for things. One of the things, I think it's okay for me to say this, but one of the things was this particular case tonight was a pretty simple case, really. It's basically just replacing a structure that is there with something much more modern, much nicer, because I'm sure it will be LED lighting these days, you know, and that most of the stuff is something that Naya could have handled without them having to worry about coming to planning commission, and she probably could have signed off on that pretty easily. That would have saved them maybe a little bit. That would have also saved time and got them back on schedule. And I think those are some things we might be looking at as well. So if you have things like that you've seen over the course of time of being on the planning commission, we'd really like to hear what are some of those things that you think could have maybe helped a resident or business get to the point of acting on their ideas and their plans a little quicker, so that we can try to look at that into the UDO and that as well, because I think that is very important. I've heard that complaint from investors, I've heard the complaint from residents, and that well, why can't, you know, if I'm willing to put up what you say, or, you know, the Economic Development Department is saying, yes, we're going to send this for approval, but it has to go through Planning Commission. If it seems that streamlined, you know, I mean, some of that little smaller stuff should just be a little bit more streamlined, and I think we're looking to do that as well. So definitely let us know if there's anything that, you know, you believe was a huge issue. And same with BZA, we'd like to know what their thoughts on that are too. And residents that are listening, as I found out tonight, how many really do listen or go back and watch. You know, if residents have ideas and things like that, of things that have come up that you thought should be changed, you know, send an email.
zoning@riversideoh.gov.
There you go. Send an email to that email address, and we will definitely look into those things. We may not be able to promise everything, but we definitely do want to make this as friendly and accommodating to our residents and businesses as possible. And investors who have worked with us in the past, if they happen to be listening, we would love to have their input as well. You know, some of the things, I had a resident, well, I'll do that later. Sorry, we're not on that. So anything else on the rewrite?
We do hope later down the line, when it gets shored up and a few more things get through the steering committee before it goes to the planning commission, to have at least one community meeting, because we don't want this to be in the back. We do want to have some talks with our residents, because a lot of ideas can come. This is our community's code, so it needs to reflect our community. That's the last thing I have.
Okay. Anything else? Mr. Manager, anything for us tonight? Legal counsel, anything for us? Welcome back.
No, thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Okay, matters by commissioners. Mr. Hairston?
None.
Mr. Vasquez?
None?
I'd just like to say I had an opportunity to talk to a resident tonight. He is from the Byesville area, And one of the things he mentioned, some of the things I've already talked over with Naya and the city manager, which were not necessarily planning commission issues, but one of the things he did mention about planning commission, he also mentioned it for BZA and for the council as well. And I thought it was kind of a good idea. That we have a lot of, he mentioned that he felt that there was a lot of people on second shift in our community, and maybe even handicapped, that can't always make it to a physical meeting to have questions answered or, voice their concerns about a case or things like that. And although I told him that, like, for a planning commission, they're always welcome to email in anything or call about a case that's coming up. He said, well, he just didn't feel that people were aware of that. And I said, I'm sure that that's true with all of the commissions and as well as the council, but that I would bring up that maybe having something on the website, and I have not perused the new website in depth, so if it's already there, please enlighten me. But where residents that aren't able to physically make a meeting, we can't have their testimony necessarily be part of the public hearing, but we can, I know we've had stuff in our packets before when people have emailed in and that, but if they have questions and stuff, maybe there could be a format where the questions could be answered during that meeting, so that when they go back and they look at these meetings on YouTube, on the YouTube channel on that, they kind of get their questions and that answered. And they feel like, the way he made it sound, it would make them feel like they're being represented. Because even though they might send something in, they don't necessarily feel like the boards or the commissions or the council is representing them as the second shifters or the handicapped that can't physically make it to a meeting. So maybe there's a way to incorporate that. Wouldn't necessarily be official, but it would be at least giving that feedback, and knowing that their questions are being answered, and we can either have a format where we answer those questions, or even if we have to do it at the next meeting or something to that effect. So I'm not sure how that would work, but I thought it was relative enough to bring up, because I do know that in our community, we are very much a working class community. And there probably is a lot of second shift, third shift maybe even, where even an evening meeting like this is difficult to get to. But we also have a lot of senior citizens and people who are not physically able maybe to drive or to get out. So I thought it was warranted to bring that up and for, future discussion on maybe how we could maybe implement that, if possible. Knowing that it wouldn't be part of the official hearing, but it would at least give some feedback versus every council member or every commissioner getting individual emails, that information, and make those residents know that we really do represent the entire city and not just a handful of people that can make it to a meeting.
So I'll just offer that all of our contact information is on our website. So you can go up at the top of the banner under How Do I, and there's a link there to a directory for all the city staff, which includes phone numbers and emails, as well as council members. And we certainly do field emails and correspondence from residents constantly. I got probably 3 messages today from residents, and so we obviously encourage anybody who has thoughts, opinions about things that are being discussed at a board or commission, or at a city council meeting, to call, to email, and we do our part to try to pass those things on to the various bodies, if it's relevant to an item that's on the agenda as well, just so our elected and appointed officials are informed. So, and I get it, not everybody has computers either, so our phone numbers are also out there, and we're happy to take calls. I've certainly visited with residents who work second shift in this lobby as well too, just to kind of hear them out as well. So I just want folks to know that while the meeting times are sometimes difficult given everybody's schedules and everything else, we do our best to be as available as possible through a variety of channels, and we welcome all of the input that we get through those channels. So.
Very good. Thank you. So just, something to, as we go forward, if there's any, like, a little bit more streamlining, and that, something that we can always, look into, I wanted to mention. So other than that, anything else before commission tonight? Seeing no further business, I adjourn the Planning Commission meeting of May 21st, 2025 at 7:14.